fascination for architecture grew when, in earlier days, in the neighborhood where I was born, I walked a lot around with my father in the buildings who were under construction. But it also came along in the time when I was working here in Amsterdam as a graphic designer, product designer, and even interior designer. When I was 25, I met a Japanese friend, and he said to me, "Ben, you have to change your direction, and I advise you to go to Japan and see the architecture there." And then I did that. So the classical Japanese architecture inspired me so much that I thought, now I have to really make the decision and study architecture. My name is Ben van Berkel. I'm the principal architect and founder of UNStudio.
I'm Caroline Bos. I'm co-founder and principal urban planner of UNStudio.
And this is the Architect Series.
Well, Ben and I started actually before we started the studio in a theoretical way, writing about architecture and all the upcoming architects and the architects that we found very interesting and groundbreaking. Before they had actually built anything, through the Architectural Association in London, we could follow their work very directly and introduce that to the Dutch audience by writing about their work. So this strong interest in bringing theory and practice together is, I think, the foundation of our practice. And when we then set up our own office here in Amsterdam, we continued that.
And after my studies, when I worked for 2 or 3 other architects, I decided to go back to Holland, because I knew there was in that time a lot of work in Holland. So that was the moment that I started with very small projects. But the vision was to go into a combination of infrastructural, urban projects, architectural projects, to be combined into one studio. After a first phase of Van Berkel and Bos, we then turned it into UNStudio as a broader company with more services connected towards it.
My name is MACHTELD. I'm Director of Strategic Development at UNStudio. I'm responsible for business development and global communication and knowledge sharing, innovation and research in the office. And I work at UNStudio since 1998, so already 23 years. UNStudio is founded in 1988 in Amsterdam, where we have now approximately 200 people, and we have offices in Shanghai, founded in 2010, and there are approximately 40 people, and offices in Hong Kong, that was founded in 2014. With around 30 people at the moment, and we have offices just opened in Dubai last year, where we have 8 people staff. The reason for opening an office has changed a bit. Like normally, or in Shanghai and in Hong Kong, the reason for opening an office was also because we had a big project there, and to take it really as a stepping stone for new work. But since the COVID, we also felt that we wanted to be more locally present without traveling so much. So therefore we rolled out our local strategy, meaning that we want to be a global firm with local presence.
The Mercedes-Benz project was a project we designed already in the early 2000s, but it had to be finished in 2006. In that time, together with the interior designer of the exhibition designs, we thought that it would not be good to have just a showroom. And we advised the client to come up with an idea together with us to make it more as a museum. So I said to the client, could it not be great that we approach every car as an artwork, and that whenever you move from the top, because that's possible, you take 3 elevators to the top and then you walk in a double spiral down, that you then almost drive through the museum and that the car stands still, but because of this mobile movement, that it is almost as you drive through the museum, and that is really working. But the 2 spirals are also connected to a two-sided aspect of the exhibition spaces. So that's the collection spaces, and then the history of the car is to be told on the other spiral. I referred always to the concrete in the building towards the history of infrastructure. So that beauty of the robustness of infrastructure was actually the idea to bring that also back into the museum. And we want to keep it simple. We have only concrete there, glass, and here and there some other refined materials, but they are in the smaller details. The most important aspect of the Doha Metro project we did in Qatar is that it is about 4 metro lines, quite unbelievable, 33 stations, and we designed it and built it maybe close to maybe 6 to 7 years altogether. How that was done was through a modular design strategy, whereby not only that each station, from an underground to a cross station and an above ground station, would have been built and designed out of only, call it 24 major bigger elements. So that you can always combine them in such a way that with these building types you could give a much more easier system to the builders, and also to speed the whole building process up. This was even the way how we won the competition. We said that this modular building system could be an advance of the way how you could be more efficient in many locations in the same time. And this was not only done for the larger detail elements of the construction of the project, but also for the smaller scale elements like the tiles in the buildings, or the lighting system, or the wayfinding elements. What we do with every infrastructural project is look at user groups and the way how people come to the station, what kind of flows you can expect, where and how you have to deal with congestion, safety. But we do this out of the way how we combine flow studies and visual flow studies, so that you connect that towards wayfinding. So that actually the architecture is doing the best wayfinding in a way, instead of the sign.
My name is MARIANTHI TATARI. I'm a director at UNStudio, and I have been working here in Amsterdam since 2007, so 15 years. Collaboration at its core, when we work together in the teams, is very important. Collaboration among teams in the office, but as well externally with experts and the stakeholders, and also promoting collaborations in the designs that we do.
Yeah, UNStudio is an integral, very open, collaborative studio.
Every team has its own collaboration moments, every project has its own collaboration moments, but as a whole, as an office, we also have different events. We try to make 2 events per year that are more kind of social events, and 2 events per year that are more knowledge driven. So we call them conferences. This is when we all come together. Then there are moments that we have sharing sessions and lunches and drinks, of course, where actually either particular teams or with a certain shared interest, people come together. So we try to create also diversity in how we meet, because this is where people with different personalities can meet more comfortably instead of actually imposing a way of meeting.
I believe very much in not only that we as specialists need to work on our projects and to get the best intelligent project out of that, but that we create also an intelligent project together with the specialists from the client is my latest belief, to integrate it as much as possible. The key aspect and the beauty of the Booking.com building is that it is not an office building. It's not a standard office building. It's really about the way how people in the future are going to work, is my opinion. Because what you will see in the beginning is that everyone is working in a cafe or in a breakout space on balconies in between green areas, and it's going to be almost as if you work at home. It's a place where you'd like to come home to. Also, I often say.
The thinking behind this building, when we started working in 2015, was always to create a building that is makes a community for Booking.com. It's their first building that they own, and Amsterdam is their base. So they wanted to create a building that is flexible enough to host their community. This building also is part of the historic center of Amsterdam, very close to the central station. It occupies a very big footprint, so it has to play a very important role in the community of Amsterdammers as well. We had to create a building that connects the two. And on that we created a very public plinth where people can have public amenities. And on that we had a small footprint of the entrance and taking people, the employees of Booking.com, inside and creating on the second level a level just for their community. So it's kind of the heart of the place. The heart of the place, though, is also open 360 to the views of Amsterdam and actually connects to Amsterdam, let's say, physically and visually.
You don't have to take the elevator, but you can always take the staircase going from the 4th to 5th to the 6th floor. So I believe that's going to be the future, because taking a stair is proven, is 10 times more healthier than always taking this elevator.
The social health of a workplace is to be able to bring people together. The people can have the feeling that they work in one organization They can share ideas. They can also share their everyday work life. We actually introduce, of course, the floor plans, the workplaces, but also really a lot of different types of places where people can meet, can be active, can work together.
The future of work and health are here combined, because I believe that if you make sure that people walk more in a building, then they see each other more. And then maybe they sit down together on the staircase and they maybe chat, so it stimulates with that also innovation. And I think today in companies, especially in the tech companies, innovation is key. It's almost 40% of the way how they grow in the way how they hopefully can improve their technology. We have now introduced futurists in the office, or a specialist on the level of sustainability, circularity, ideas around the way how you deal with technology. That plays a very big role now in the way how we analyze cities and mobility and all the flexible and moving aspects of the city, so that out of these organizational data-driven principles that we from there design our building. So I mean, it's really fascinating that our profession expanded, not alone, but also the role of the architect. You have UNS Futures, but you have also UNSense, and then you have also UNSX. Is dealing with the experience of design. So it's all about the way how people experiencing in the first place, the way how you move through the street, what it is to feel safe, to feel comfortable, or to feel maybe sometimes also be inspired, or how do you feel by walking more in the building, or how do you feel to be healthy in the built environment.
So my name is Filippo, and I'm an associate director at UNStudio, and where I've been working since 2008. I am responsible of a team called UNS Experience. It's a team of multidisciplinary talents, as we call them. So it's a group of around 15 to 20 people, and they have different backgrounds. Some are architects, some are strategists, some are product designers, and they all kind of collaborate together on crafting new experiences in the built environment, whether that would be a building, a product, a chair, a part of a city. We kind of use the umbrella of what we call experience design. We start from a kind of a very human-centric approach, so it's a user-based approach. We have a series of tools and methodologies that allow us to understand how users behave, what are their needs, what are their pains, and how can we structure a concept design that is based on how that user mechanism functions.
This project is one of our biggest projects in Australia. It's actually even so large in scale that it's going to be probably one of the highest towers in Australia. But that's not the most important. The most important is that it is a very public very powerful, inclusive, multi-generational, you could say, project. And the client is fantastic here because they want to go for the best for this part of the city. Melbourne on the northern side is very active, very lively, very beautiful. But if you come in the south part of Melbourne, then it's a bit dead after 8 o'clock in the night because there are so many office buildings. So what we did was to create with the 2 towers, but 1 slab. And we broke that up and gave a transparency to the side. We introduced much more mixed-use programs so that the liveliness of the location will be far more pleasant as it is right now. It's not a traditional tower project with residents in the tower alone and then some amenities in the plinth alone. What is most exciting is that it is, yes, a project for the community in the towers, as we say, sometimes communities in the sky, but they share also communal spaces on different parts of the tower and also on the top, so that people could meet and can socialize. Because as we know, even after the difficult pandemic we had, people like to meet. They don't like to be isolated. They'd like to be meeting and knowing, to get to know each other a bit better than in the past. So to create a feeling of community building in towers. People don't like to talk to each other in an elevator, I always say.
How can we also make these vital first 12 or 20 meters lively, draw people into that location? We want to also often break through the perimeter outline to get more movement inside, have more diagonal lines, open up corners, and open up also diagonal lines. You see this actually in many of our projects. It's all about inviting people to have a long diagonal gaze.
Plinth, we have a lot of cultural program, a lot of program what is connected to the city. Aula, where you can have conferences, you will have a fantastic opportunity to walk around. That's another aspect what we promote a lot in our architecture, is walkability, so that people don't take the elevator and that they see each other, meet each other, that you create a sort of form of innovation or call it an human-centric behavioral innovation, whereby people always can meet each other in many different occasions of the program.
Having the volume split up and made into 2 towers instead of just 1, of course, also helps establish these long lines of vision from nearby, but also from the longer distance. A project like that, the whole city in a way participates in. So looking at it from through a zoom lens, but also through a very long distance lens is also part of the job.
The green spine is connected to it in a park, and actually the major roads approaching the project, and we pick up actually that spine, that green spine, into the towers, and hopefully we get as much green into the project as we have suggested. I think this is the future, to be more circular and to particularly think about more efficient circular economical models.
It is actually wonderful how quickly our knowledge and expertise is growing in that aspect of sustainability, the circular aspects, making a catalog of materials that you're using, making sure that everything can be reused in the future. These are all skills that are quickly being developed, and that of course we embrace. Because of our international experience, we are actually one of the key players in transferring knowledge and letting knowledge circulate in these fields as well. So I think we can be an accelerating force in that.
The Hyperloop, it's comparable to the way how through a vacuum tube you can move one object to the next very quickly from one space to the next space. So it's a whole new technology. But what is quite interesting and advanced about the system is that it can really compete with flying. Like if you would do it well from Amsterdam to Frankfurt, you could be there in 55 minutes. If you connect, hopefully, the train stations or the new hubs to the city center or close to the city center, then I think 55 minutes is a very, very good comparative system. So it's a better version of the high-speed train. We helped them to think about what you could do with the different hubs around the station. So what we don't do is a traditional station, but we introduce a hub whereby you have maybe schools, you have maybe work, you have maybe city elements, whereby transport location can be connected also to other transport elements like buses or hopefully electric buses, electric cars or pods as they call them now, and that you from there can go to the inner city. So I think that makes it a different not only transport system, but that it also creates new types of hubs who could be fully sustainable, maybe also connected to the future of mobility in general. How you can actually make with that architecture better, I think is still something we have to work on. Not only with the world outside, but also we as an office. So a lot of things to improve, a lot of things to grow into. Also connect yourself better to engineers, because I think there's also future. And maybe financial aspects as well. So many things.
The future of UNStudio will be positive. Positive things, obviously, that we want to achieve. More equality, more chances for and opportunities for young people to do interesting things and develop themselves. That is one of our main goals. We want to stay this creative environment, but also be professional and reliable. So these are also qualities that we are perfecting and that will remain very, very important in the future, even more important.
With UNStudio, I often think, specifically after so many years' experience, that is maybe my advantage, that I know how we grew from, let's say, 10 or 4 people to now close to 350 people. I know where the future can go to because I know that history. And I can honestly tell you that our best years will still to come.